So the reason why the wage gap exists, the reason why men earn more than women and women earn less than men, is because men are just smarter than women. Men are just more intelligent. Now, before I start this video, I want you to think about what I just said. What is your initial gut reaction to what I just said? Okay, so here's the article I want to talk about. I put a link in the description below. Girls set to increase GCSE lead over boys, and we should accept they are cleverer. And then education expert says female students have outperformed male counterparts since GCSE set up nearly 40 years ago. Cleverer, of course, being British for smarter. Now, if you're American and you don't know what the GCSEs are, they are kind of like an annual exam that students in the UK do. I think around 15 years old. It's not exactly the equivalent of SATs or final exams. It's kind of like a mix of the two together. It's not really a perfect translation in the US system, but basically they're very important for a student's education and future education opportunities to go to university. And girls have been outperforming boys for a very long time. This is an issue that MRAs have talked about, and I've talked about many times, the education gap, where boys are falling behind girls. But now experts are basically saying in this article I'm about to show you that, well, we don't need to really worry about this. This is not really an issue per se. It's just because girls are smarter. That's the answer. That's the reason why boys are falling behind girls. It's just not because anything's going on. There's no social factors here. Boys are just less intelligent, and so that's the answer. Okay, so this is a lot to get through, so I'll be quick. Again, you can read the whole article in the link below, and you can Google this story because this has been talked about actually for a long time now, and it's only been getting worse. But anyway, so this is basically about a report coming out that's saying girls are getting higher results than boys. A report published on Thursday by Buckingham University Center for Education and Employment forecasts that girls will cement their lead overall and in individual subjects. Professor Alan Smithers, the report's author, so he's the one that's saying that we should accept girls are smarter than boys, said there had not been much difference between boys and girls' grades under the old O-level system. But ever since the creation of the GCSE almost 40 years ago, female students had consistently outperformed their male counterparts. This was explained as being due to the new modular structure of the GCSEs, which favored the consistent and conscientious application of girls, in contrast to boys who showed up best in final exams, the report said. When GCSEs were reformed, however, to become more like O-levels, the girls' lead was dented only slightly. Now, with teacher assessment, girls have gone further ahead, and it has been suggested that this is because teachers favor them. Yes, actually, the reason why it's suggested that girls get higher grades and results than boys because teachers favor them is because there are multiple studies in multiple countries that show evidence that teachers do in fact favor girls in education. So I'm skipping ahead a little here. But Professor Smithers said, girls have long been ahead in schoolwork, but the tendency has been to explain away their superior performance. When they did better in the 11 plus, it was said that they matured earlier. When they leapt ahead in GCSEs, it was said that it was because they worked harder. And now, with teacher assessment, the impression is that they are favored by the teachers. Why can't we accept it is just that they are cleverer? Because there's evidence that shows it's because they're favored by the teachers. There are actual studies and data that show this. So why can't you just not completely dismiss science and data that's already there? And just consider, remember what I said in the beginning of the video. What if I said the reason why the wage gap exists and men earn more than women is because, well, men are just smarter. Like, think of how you first reacted to when I said that. Why is this any different? Like, why is it that if men earn more than women and men are more likely to start companies, men are more likely to be CEOs, men are more likely to win Nobel Prizes, all the stats you always hear about how women are behind in so many things, would you just say the answer is, oh, well, it's because men are smarter? No, you wouldn't say that because it's more complicated than that. So now that you have a gap in education where it's boys that are behind, all of a sudden you have academics coming out saying, oh, it's because boys aren't as intelligent, girls are smarter. But why does that sometimes work when it's one gender, but then not when it's the other? You know, articles and statements like that, in my opinion, are harmful. And it's just complete nonsense. But it's concerning to me that this is something that an actual academic would say and gets published in mainstream media. I mean, what kind of message does that send? Especially given how bad the education gap and the boys' education crisis already is. I put a link to some of my videos on that below too. Having something like this coming out in 2021 is just ridiculous. And especially when there's direct science and data that's been there for years suggesting that it's complete nonsense. But anyway, I put the links down below. Tell me what you think.